Hello there, welcome along to episode 12. Yes, it's episode 12 of the Tasting Hour. So we've been at this a year now.
Yep.
And I think we figured it was a good opportunity to take a look back at the last 11 episodes of some of our highlights, what we've enjoyed smoking, who we've enjoyed talking to, and what you thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, part of this has actually happened because since the last episode, we were hoping to do at least 3 interviews. Unfortunately, these have not taken place yet.
No, life has got in the way.
Life is going to be very busy for us, even allowing for doing the episodes.
Yeah.
So there is something else we're going to do. We are also going to, because we need to catch up with those, we're going to take a break after this programme until the end of August.
Yes, which we'll be back with the Summertime Smoke Fest. I already know we're going to be talking to Rocky again because he's a guest there. So you'll have another interview with Rocky, which would be lovely. So yeah, we're basically putting a lot of effort in behind the scenes to get all our stuff up and running. So when we come back at the end of August, it's full steam ahead again for another year.
Yeah.
Before we start talking about some of our highlights, Gary, what are we actually smoking today? Because this is something that I've never had before.
Well, it's not on the UK market, that's for sure. It's a couple of cigars I picked up in Germany. And I picked them up because of the country they're made in, which is Mozambique. They're called Bongani. Yep, Bongani. They're probably
correct him if he's wrong.
Yes, I'm bound to, because it's probably at least French, Portuguese, and God knows what in between.
Yep.
They should be quite light. I have smelt them. They've got an interesting little flavour.
Yeah, I wouldn't have said. I think that's going to be medium. I'm not sure that's going to be light.
It might be light medium. But that's fine for today because according to my little humidifier here, the sunlight has decreased humidity to 42% with a 32-degree sunshine epic.
There you go.
And it has taken us a good half hour to set up where we're going to get here without being roast beef at the end of it.
Yeah, basically, as you can see, we've actually moved around from our usual location because it is so warm. Last month, by the end of it, we were both like, oh, heat stroke, here it comes.
Yeah, it was a bit like that. I think it could be a light medium. The wrapper, I think, is actually Cameroon. From Cameroon is the impression I got.
Okay.
It's not just Cameroon leaf, it's actually
from.
I may be wrong on that. Anybody from Germany, if you know different, please tell us.
Yeah, do drop a comment down basically in the comment section. The usual go like, follow, subscribe. It does really mean a lot. And our Spotify, that's growing quite nicely. So yeah, go and join that one as well. Also, do drop comments if there's any highlights that you've seen over the last year that you've enjoyed. It's one thing for us because we're more involved in it. It's nice to see it from an outside point of view because it makes us stop and think and go, oh, actually, yeah, that is a valid point. What do you think the smoking time on this cigar is, roughly?
It's a Robusto size, so we should be about 45 minutes.
So, okay, that's not a bad length. On a day like this, that's not bad at all.
If you really want to go for your Metallica cigars and the others, that's fine, but that would be a bit like having a heavy red wine. We're currently at 3:30 in the afternoon. You'll be snoring away by 4:30, if not before.
Over that, or you just have a second one or the other.
Well, whatever.
But actually, someone had commented to me the other day, I've smoked an awful lot of the Metallica cigars. It's like, are you being sponsored by them? No, wouldn't mind being sponsored by them. I do think over the course of the last year, that's probably been a highlight for me of cigars, as we're talking about things that have happened over the last year. Still think the Leaf is up there. That's definitely still in that bracket for me, but it's not as heavy as the Metallica one.
We haven't quite calculated just how many different cigars we've smoked. We smoked lots of them various times. For example, when I was doing the 101s on cigar wrappers, I was actually smoking the cigars afterwards. We've done the Metallicas, of course.
Yeah.
We've done Leafs at some point. Yes,
we have
those two.
Yeah, because you bought the two that aren't actually in the country.
Yeah.
They really should be in the country.
I think it could overwhelm the Maduro. I don't know.
Maybe.
But it just shows just how good Oscar is.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. And that's something we will touch on. We've drawn up from some of the interviews that we've done, one or two little bits that to go through. Actually, this might be a good time to actually go off.
Yeah.
We're going to start with a little clip from Davidoff.
Yep. And then we'll run that one into the back with Rocky. And then we'll talk about both of those when we come back. So see you in a couple of minutes.
I would definitely go with more on the arty side. So I would say somebody perhaps like a Salvador Dali, or or more modern. And I'm Bristol based, so a Banksy perhaps. And I feel that they, you know,
you wouldn't know if you actually had the right Banksy mind.
No, true. Yeah. It'd be a group of them, the Banksies. I think, Dali, you get that contrast of the logical and the illogical.
Yeah.
But they work together and one enhances the other, the dream, the real. And I think in the same way that Banksy does, he works on the macro micro. So he deals with, social and political questions, but with everyday themes. And I think that, as I said before, I think that juxtaposition of things that don't necessarily or shouldn't necessarily work together, but put together in the right way, actually enhance each other and respect each other. And what would I smoke? I think probably carrying on that theme of juxtaposition, I would look at any of the Escurio line, the Davidoff Escurio.
Right.
You have that juxtaposition of salty, sweety.
This can be a cigar
pepper.
from any time in Davidoff's history, not just their current.
I like to talk about what I know, what's current to me.
Right.
Everybody has the exceptional cigar and the limited edition and the rare. What I like finding is the beauty in the everyday, the regular productions, and what can what you can enhance and what you get out of the norm. It's the story of Davidoff. Davidoff, as we know, Zeno was in partnership with Cuba Tobacco in 1967.
I do remember the old.
You remember that?
I remember the old Cuban Davidoff.
The famous Davidoff Chateau series. And the relationship broke down because of compromise to quality. Zeno Davidoff famously said, quality is not a luxury. Quality is what we should always be striving for. And that's why in 1989, the relationship broke down completely, with Davidoff taking all production over to the Dominican Republic, and famously with the legend that's possibly been enhanced over the years of publicly burning 130,000 plus cigars in the streets of Havana as a protest, because of the fact that this compromise in quality.
When it comes to sort of the development of a new blend, how long typically does it take you to decide, right, this is where we're going to go, and from that point to market?
So when I'm making a blend, I would say it's a process of about 1.5 years, right? So it starts first, we pick the wrapper.
Yeah.
And then once we have the wrapper, then we're working on the binders, then we're working on the fillers. I'll make sometimes 120 blends, and we smoke them all, and then it comes down to 3 or 4. And then when it comes down to the last 3 or 4, we work on changing the binder, changing the primings on the filler. Sometimes the cigar gets better, sometimes it gets worse. But when you smoke it freshly rolled, it's totally different.
I was going to say that.
After you let it rest for 4 months.
Yeah.
So then you have to re-smoke it after 4 months, and the cigar changes. So there's so many levels and so much time that goes into it. And then when you think you're down to the final 2 or 3, it's very hard to decipher, because some things are better in the particular cigar, I have 2 people that I trust in my company. Besides myself, my brother, and we have a gentleman by the name of Adam Madeira, who works in our office, who's got a great palate. So the 3 of us will then smoke the 3. Sometimes we'll all agree that this is the one. Sometimes we'll disagree, and then I make the
I should say, who has the deciding vote?
I make the final decision, say this is the one we're going to go with.
Well, as your name is on the cigar, I guess that's your privilege.
A lot of times we agree on one, and we say, wow, this one's just outstanding. And what happens is there's a lot of good cigars, but one just stands out and it's special. And it's like, it's got a unique flavor profile. It's got complexity. It's got character. It's got balance. It's got all of that you're looking for. So, and when you're making a mild cigar, it's very different. A mild cigar, you're looking for creaminess, butteriness. When you're making a rich cigar, you want that richness. But I just want strength. I want balance with this.
I think that's it. It's the same as whiskeys, isn't it?
Just a note while we're just catching the breath as you come back. He's on Coke. I'm on tea. Actually still on tea for the obvious reason I was born there. So I find tea very refreshing. I really...
This time of year, it's a good idea.
Davidoff I enjoyed.
Yeah, Davidoff was a great interview, and I think we were very lucky to be able to have that as our first interview for the first show.
Yeah, I think the main reason it stood out, as I said at the time, I was in the actual program. I was sitting behind the cameras and listening to it. And once Michael actually got going, he was very concise and very efficient in his usual words.
I think that the fact that a lot of people didn't realise just how much financially it cost them to come out. I mean, 130,000 cigars burnt in the marketplace. I mean, that is tremendous amount of money.
It's a lot, and that if that was at the value, that's a lot of cigars. But then, as he explained, Davidoff are looking for the high-end market.
Yes.
Which at the time they were talking about in the 70s, where basically you had Davidoff and Cuban coming through.
Yeah.
Quality control is an absolute.
Yes.
It always is on any product.
And that actually is what Davidoff have remained loyal to. They're always about that quality control more than anything else.
I mean, Cuba does have a problem since the breakup of the Soviet Union. Money that they got supported with has pretty well dried up.
Yeah. And they've not put anything
think
back into agriculture at all.
We're on Russian in the UK.
Yeah. And that's,
To put it mildly, as a shop, we're on, and all the shops, we're on Russian, because effectively, since Trump moved the American fleet and stopped the oil tankers and all the rest, nothing has left Cuba.
No.
I know for a fact that I need to get myself on the subscribe list to find out, rather like Germany, what is available and what I can be allocated.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's what you can be allocated, whereas everything else is like, right, I'll have a box of those, 2 boxes of that, 5 boxes of that, and your stock arrives.
Yeah.
This is a case of, I want a box of that. You can have 3.
Yeah.
3 cigars, not a box, just 3. That's it.
Yeah.
That's your
And
allocation.
This is going to continue for a long time because at the moment, as I understand it from my local rep, blackouts in Cuba are about 22 hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, they
Which
used
means
to...
the factories aren't operating.
No, those factories used to run 20 hours a day. So 2 10-hour shifts. Now they're doing 2 hours a day.
If they're lucky.
If they're lucky. So there's no way production's keeping up with anything. In fact, there's not really any production.
Which means that the shortages will make the COVID period
Look like a drop in the ocean, unfortunately.
drop in the ocean. So I find it very sad. Never mind what I personally feel about the Cuban cigars. I find it very sad that the people of the country are being made to put through that.
Yeah,
The
politics. The problem is it's not the current politics, although that's really screwing it up. It's decades and decades of this has done it.
But that can happen in anything because the hierarchy are treating themselves like any big corporation does.
Yeah, I mean...
At the end of the day, they don't care as long as they get the sale and they'll continue doing it.
Well,
But they've not taken note on that Davidoff moved.
Yeah.
And certainly in the last 20 years, I've seen it in the shop. The change with what's coming out of Honduran, Nicaragua, Dominican, even nice little cigars like this one, which is smoking nicely at the moment. I'm quite enjoying this. It's smoking, it's quite firm, but it's still a nice light smoke. It's not particular, but for a hot day when you don't want too much salt in your things, you don't want your brain to be...
You don't want to be addled, basically. I mean, the burn on mine, the construction's good, but the burn's a little crooked, so I'll just touch up the mascara line. It's not a bad... It's a good first cigar, actually, I will say. What's the sort of price point of that? Although I know we don't have it here, but what was the price point for it?
God knows, I'd have to look at the bill. It won't have been a lot in Germany. I would imagine, I think it'd be under £20 currently.
It's interesting seeing the market for tobacco. Things have changed quite drastically. The States has changed quite a bit recently. In fact, there's been a lot of news in the States. I think it's interesting to see the changing agriculture, as you were saying. That is the real surprise that's coming through. The Nicaraguan is the biggest, if memory serves, at about 56 million sticks thereabouts. There's a change between, Honduras is now second, which is the first time ever.
Which is surprising considering how many people are making cigars in Dominican Republic.
Yeah, and that just, of course, leaves the last one in third place, which is the Dominican Republic, isn't it? Yeah. So that's at 15. If memory serves, when I saw the stats, that was at 15.6 million sticks. Honduras was at 17 and a half. And obviously then you got the Nicaraguan, which is miles ahead at 56. So it's interesting to see those percentages, but the other's definitely creeping up.
Yes, but you've got a lot of people. You've got Oscar coming through. Rocky's been there for years, and half his production is there. You've also got Alec Bradley.
Yeah.
And a whole host of other ones that are coming through.
Let's move us on, because otherwise we're going to stay talking about Rocky and Davidoff all day. The next interview that I quite like to talk about was the Trident lads. They were a great surprise, especially their latest release.
Yeah. And I think the other one, of course, the fourth one that we interviewed was Rebellion Cigars.
Yeah. So they're two little, basically they're new companies coming through the ranks. And it's interesting to see how they're changing.
Very interesting. I think, as we found out at the show, there's quite a bit of development going on. But we've picked a couple of interviews, things from the interviews.
Yep.
Enjoy watching them, and we'll see you back shortly.
Yep, see you in a sec. In terms of Trident Military Cigars, how long did it take you to come up with the idea before you actually were able to get it out onto the shelves, essentially?
So the idea came in 2019 with my business partner Hugh. We were both in a very small little cigar club in London on a rooftop, smoking away. The whole charity side and mental health side was kind of where that stemmed from. Both me and Hugh have had friends and colleagues and do silly things and sadly take their life. So that conversation then went into how could we support charities better and do the whole charity work. And then we kind of looked at the American they're pretty good with their apparel, coffee companies, hat companies. They do their charity, and then they give back through selling different items. And then we were kind of sat there and with cigars going, well, we really like cigars, and this is kind of our mental health awareness part.
Yeah.
And then take that and a bit back, and that's where it started. So it started in 2019, however, established in 2021.
Yes. So actually, that's not too bad. 2 years. That actually shows an impressive and an interesting state of being. The objective and then objective achieved. You actually focused and got it done quick. Because so many things take years and decades to get done. So the fact you got it done and you're now established and becoming quite well known, I believe.
We're grown very quickly. Each year we double in size for sales and charity contribution. So from starting back in 2021 to now, every year we've just doubled in size and doubled in commitment and double what we give to these charities. And still to this day, every penny that's made in Trident Military Cigars goes back into reinvesting into the brand to push further.
To have it expand a bit more.
Trips to Nicaragua to look at the next line that's coming out.
Many years ago, I decided that I was smoking a lot of cigars, and it was getting quite expensive. So how could I do it cheaper? And I thought, oh no, I've got a great idea. I'll start up a website and I'll buy Cuban cigars in, and therefore at least I can pay trade for the ones I'm actually smoking. I then had to come up with what do I call the thing? What's the branding going to be, and all that sort of stuff. So as you can probably tell, pink is my favorite color. Always has been. So, and there's two reasons. One is it's my favorite color, but the second reason it's pink is because if you go to a lot of the stores in America where they literally, the humidors could have 800, 900, 1,000 different cigars in there, it's a sea of brown and blacks. So there's no real color differentiation. So, how do you stand out in that crowded environment? So, right, we're pink and loud, we're at least going to stand out, and hopefully people will think, okay, well, let's have a look at this, try the product, and then hopefully go on and smoke them. And that's kind of how the whole thing came about. So I've made that sound very easy. The reality is totally different.
And that actually brings me on to another subject. Probably the cigar that most people will know you for is the beast.
Right.
What brought that collaboration about?
Well, again, it's amazing how things happen, right? So I'll tell you the whole story. I was doing a launch to a cigar lounge in Estonia. So they'd just taken our cigars on. They placed their second order. Would you come over and do an order? Of course I will. So I'm in this lounge for people, and in the corner, there's three very sharply dressed gentlemen smoking the cigars. And this guy came over to me and he introduced himself. He said, I've got to be honest. He says, I'm smoking this cigar. I can't remember which one it was. He said, but I don't really like it. And I said, not a problem at all, right? You can't please everybody all the time, right? That's just how life is. And then we went on to the second cigar. And again, I can't remember which one it was. And he came over and he said, well, I really like this one. He says, and I don't know if you know, but I know Eddie. And I'm like, okay. Who's Eddie? And I was trying not to be rude, but he says, yeah, well, he smokes your cigars. Eddie Hall. Okay. I'm still kind of like, the cogs are still whirring. Next thing I know, he's showing me all these messages from Eddie Hall saying, oh, yeah, I love his cigars. I go to the pipe rack shop in Stoke and I buy cigars.
Right.
And I'm thinking, oh, this is brilliant. You know, this is World's Strongest Man 2018. He smokes our cigars. So anyway, again, long story short, we got put in touch with each other. I went to America about a month afterwards. He was also in America. We had a phone call together. Do you want to do something? Would love to. So went to his house. Saw his tanks. He has 2 tanks on his driveway outside his house. Sat outside the back by the swimming pool and talked turkey. We did some blends for him, and I asked him why he had started smoking our cigars. He's been smoking cigars for years, and he said, "Well, the Cubans were getting expensive, and I used to smoke Romeo y Julieta White Churchills." So he said, "I was in Pipe Rack and I saw this pink, and I thought, bloody hell, that's right up my street. I'll give them a go as he's no look back." So it was a particular cigar that was his favourite. We tweaked that blend a little bit to make his own blend, and then that's what we come up with the Beast. So we launched that again in America at PCA last year, and it's going great. Yeah, it's going great in all markets where we've launched it.
Right, so there you go. That's Trident and Rebellion. Now, this is the most secret cigar, which is ironic because it's not a secret anymore. That, to me, was when I felt Trident has arrived.
Yeah, I think it's been interesting. Although we've interviewed them at different times, both are relatively new companies. And I think both our impression with the Trident ones, their first things which we'd picked up from when we did the original interview, was here was a company that had gone through a process and come out with something which actually wasn't too bad.
No, in fact, their Petit Penatella was very good.
Was very good, particularly as a intro into the market. But they've obviously smoked some other cigars and listened and learned or worked, and certainly worked with that.
Yeah.
And I think the most secret, as I said in the last program, is a huge improvement.
Yeah.
That really is a stonker of a smoke.
Yeah, that is definitely something, if you have the opportunity to acquire some, you won't be disappointed. And the fact that, for me, one of the things I do like about them a lot is they're actually giving 10% of it to charity.
Yeah, and I think
every stick.
That is to be admired, I think. That doesn't mean other people don't do charitable work. I think, of course, they do. In Rebellion's case, the newness is certainly there in quite a lot of their products.
Yes.
And they're a little bit, they're not rough around the edges, but they could be smoother. The Beast certainly is, as I commented on in the program.
Yeah, because you said you thought that was close to
had a lot of refinement.
Yeah, but you thought that was close to a Romeo and Juliet number 2, which actually I sat there was quite surprised when you said that.
I found it got a nice aroma and taste to it. Compared to the other 3 that I'd smoked, this was a completely different cigar.
Yeah.
They had not much. The attention of detail they ended up with that one would be well placed, moved into the rest of their range.
Yeah. Just changing the subject while I think about it, we did get asked a couple of questions from followers, which is always nice to see. So yes, do drop us comments, like, follow and subscribe. I'm going to keep banging on about that. My Father's Cigars. The question was, what do we think of them?
I smoked quite a few over the years, some with one particular label on, and also the Florida Antilles, which I did like because its price point quite a few years back was very good. And apart from you can sell it any time you like, for example, Christmas the thing, because people do come in and buy cigars for their father.
Yeah.
And it's a little point. I have found in the last couple of years, particularly with the Florida Antilles, that its price has moved quite a bit, and it's at for a Robusto, it's at the more expensive end. So it's hard to. There's nothing negative about it, but there's an awful lot just as good around it.
Yeah, I can say that the problem is there's an awful lot around it at the same price points that, to me, are just better. I find my father to be basically slightly more old-fashioned in its approach to the tobacco, and the flavour profiles it gives don't quite hit for me.
Maybe a touch overpriced, but it's a quality cigar.
Yeah, it's a good, solid smoke, and if that sits in your price point and you're happy with it and the palate works, it's worth having it. I think because obviously our relationship, I've known you for a number of years, and I've always had the opportunity to try several different smokes because you've got a decent variety. I found that doesn't quite fit my palate, whereas other stuff, like you say, Rocky Patel,
Placenka.
Thank you, Placencia.
Or whatever they pronounce it. That one.
Yeah, that really does hit my palate really well. So I find that I'm always going to go that way. I'm finding a lot more people are going for the half Coronas because with the weather that we've got, 35 minutes is probably the maximum you want to be out in bad weather, or even if it's really hot like days like today. Not a lot of people are going to stay out for a couple of hours.
Well, that changed literally in the last 18 months with the induction of the small from Galeria, Sheraton, and PDR. I think that's really pleased me because I've always been looking for smaller cigars, particularly for the winter months, because we're either freezing to death in the garage, at least the public car, or we're getting a bit chilly even in the archway, which is actually behind us, hiding there.
Somewhere over there.
But some of them are quite strong, which is also a very good late night smoke when you just want a little bit more, but you don't want to light up the full Robusto or anything like that.
You don't want a Toro cigar that's going to take you an hour and a half.
No.
You just want a 20-minute smoke that's got a bit of a punch.
Yeah.
That little tin's going to do it. Let's just change it slightly. We're going to go to the first of the 101s. We're going to do 2 101s today. This one is me, and it's how to unplug your cigar. Right, this happens more than it should. My cigar is plugged, which means basically when you draw, there's a bit of a draw, just not quite a good one. So here's a little 101 for you. What you need to do is have what I recommend is one of these, which is a perfect draw. These things are worth their weight in gold, and this will fix the cigar 99 times out of 100. And when we consider the cost of premium cigars, which is what we enjoy, it actually does pay for itself very quickly. Now it feels plugged right about there, so right at the top. So what you do is you get the perfect draw, and it screws in, and it sort of grabs the leaf as it goes in. You'll feel it sort of bite, and then when you pull it back out, it doesn't look like it got anything that time. It should, in theory, pull whatever is the blockage out. There we go. There it is. You can just feel it. It gets a little bit harder. So then you just pull. Interestingly, didn't bring any stems out, which is what I thought it was. But already doing that has saved the cigar. Worth their weight in gold. Little perfect draw. There you go. That's your 101. Back to the show. So there you go. That is actually a trick you will use more often than not. And if I'm honest, if you have Cuban cigars, more often, which is really frustrating for me. Let's change it up slightly. Let's talk about the other side of our show, which is more about the men's mental health, men's health in general, really. Obviously, we did the first one we did was a good friend of mine who wrote a book about how he copes with his ADHD, which is a nice little interesting discovery, if I'm honest. It makes a lot more sense when you read something like that about what people with ADHD are. It gives you some nice pointers. The bit that is more pertinent, though, is, as we all know about Clarkson, very good news that he's now in remission. But we started that good couple of months ago. We wanted to do this.
Yeah, we actually recorded the interview back in February, if I remember rightly. And that was very pertinent to me, being 71 years old, because I'm well in the zone and have been, to my calculations, probably for the last 2 years. And I've been very, since I was 69, noted that there were 1 or 2 changes going on, which left me wondering. And I had then took a test in January. And that was quite straightforward that the doctor...
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's now just a blood test.
It is just a blood test.
So it's not the whole stigmatism of somebody shoving their fingers somewhere anymore. No. It is a blood test to start with, so it's not scary.
And if you want to, because they will do it, even you put it, is a complete blood test to look for anything else from mind gone, because diabetes, with all the foods we eat, is in and around, and that is climbing rapidly of all ages.
He says drinking a can of Coke. Yes.
I've still got sugar in my tea. I do find the report that we both saw on the news recently that they've been saying that we're not going to put the money into things. I think that's crazy.
That is.
You want us to be healthy or what?
Yeah, and actually, this is the other thing that I found mildly amusing. Clarkson, in his statement that he did after he admitted that he's now in remission, back of that statement was he addressed the fact that they're not testing so much, and he just he said, lie to the doctor. Go and get tested. Whatever you have to do to get tested, if you're not sure, do it.
Hello, everyone. Now, the more observant among you will have noticed that I'm not dead. And I'm not just not dead, I'm perfectly fine. My eyebrows in particular are looking very lustrous. And the reason why I'm fine is because the doctors caught the prostate cancer early. And they caught it early because I got tested. Now, I know a lot of you will say, I don't want to be tested because it means someone will have to put their finger in me. But it's just a blood test these days. And if you go to your doctor and he says, well, I'm not going to test you because you don't have any symptoms and you're not in a high-risk category, just lie. Just lie. Say you have got symptoms. Say that you have to get up 32 times in the night for a wee and dribbling. Because look, 10, 12,000 people, men, to be honest, men die every year in the UK from prostate cancer. Don't be one of them. Get tested.
In excess of 50,000 men a year are diagnosed with prostate cancer. And of those, there's in excess of 12,000 men a year who die of prostate cancer.
That's an interesting stat. I do remember as a child, it used to be 1 in 4 people would get cancer. Now it's down to 1 in 2.
Yes. Yes.
Societal's changed so much.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons we're not aware of it.
Indeed.
Because things have changed.
Yeah.
What do people need to do basically to find out?
Well, the thing that Somerset Prostate Support Association do is hold PSA testing sessions. Regularly, we do about 10 events a year where we have somewhere between 200 and 300 men who have this blood test to assess their level of PSA. We employ NHS-trained phlebotomists to carry this out. It's a simple blood test. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes. It's like a normal blood test that you have at the GP.
Doctors. Yeah,
absolutely. But it's specifically for prostate cancer, of course.
There are plenty of people like the Somerset Prostate Cancer Group who will do the test for you.
Yeah, they do these screenings. So just look them up. Just type in prostate cancer search and you'll find it. It is important that you do this. Very important. Anyway,
it doesn't cost you any harm to do it, but if you don't and it's a bit late, it's harmful.
Yeah, it is, as Clarkson said, you got it early. You got to get it early. That's the plan. So go out and do it. Right, let's make the subject slightly more, not so morbid, shall we say. Next, we had Scott. Scott was a very interesting chat from Tor. Considering Tor is the second biggest importer of cigars in the UK, first biggest importer for New World cigars, his approach to basically the entire range of cigars that they do and the industry in the UK, I think, is amazing.
But the interview went as I expected it. Here's a man who's very much a businessman and believes in cigar smoking and has opened our eyes to a lot of new products.
Well, truly.
And really, the range that we have available in the country, not only from Tor, but the other two main companies that are around, is now really rather extensive.
Yeah.
And it really makes the opportunities and expanding.
Yeah, oh God,
the opportunities for the punter or even me as a retailer to be able to mix and match as I could do, which really wasn't there 20 years ago when I took on the shop.
Well, actually, I mean, this is the point I made to Scott. When I first started cigars, there were no New World cigars. Very few, maybe one or two. It was all primarily Cuban. Now, he's got the biggest market in New Worlds. He's also, I'm biased, he also brought in the M81. So I'm very biased, because that's one of my favourite cigars. So it does show he's a very good businessman. I mean, the amount of hype around that cigar still at the moment, it does help that Metallica's on tour in the UK. So there's going to be even more hype around that at the moment. But it's that foresight, I think, is impressive. Right, here's a couple of clips from Scott, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about them in a minute. Do more training for staff and for smokers in general than pretty much anybody else.
Yeah, and that comes back to, gosh, I started in the tobacco industry, not cigars, in 1984. So this is my 42nd year, which is quite astounding.
That's a feat.
Successfully from 4th of June 1984 with Marlboro cigarette.
Wow.
And back in those days, we, believe it or not, did training with retail. Okay? Then I became what we called a sales trainer in Illinois.
Yeah.
And I would take a sales guy from scratch. He would join the company and I would train them through the process. So training's always been part of my kind of makeup, I guess. And when I took over Tor, we now have 18 staff. In those days, when I took over, we had 7. So I was working the UK from Devon, going to see retailers all over the UK and Scotland. And we had a young chap in London, who's now 72, still with us. And between Jerry and I, we covered the whole of the UK. So when I was going to stay Leeds from Devon, I would stay in a little hotel. And I think, so you eat hotel food?
Yeah.
What am I doing? You know, so I started to think how I could fill my evenings. And we started filling our evenings with training and events. And then when we had the finance, we could introduce like the talk club, which we introduced in 2016. What that meant was we could then take UK retailers to the factories.
So they get to see the plantations and literally from seed to leaf to...
You can watch videos, you can read books, you can do all of that. But go to the field, put a little seed, a tiny, 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 tiny seed, in a little plant pot, and then see the seed growing in another pot, and see the whole step from seed to smoke. It's a cliche, I know, but to see the whole thing over a week, you leave the tour. Wow.
Yeah.
You know everything.
I mean, that's a lifetime experience, isn't it?
Absolutely, 100%.
So there you go. That was Scott. We're moving cigars, and I've brought some whiskey. Well, Gary's brought me some whiskey to try. So if you want to talk about the cigar, Gary, which is a nice cigar.
Yeah. this is another, because it's, we are now at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. I should point out that invariably each of the programs that you see normally take us at least 2 hours to actually record, because we're always stopping and then gearing up what we're going to mention next to be a bit more concise.
Either that or I screw up somewhere along the line and we have to retake something.
And there's the little retakes as well. This is Costa Rican. Costa Rican is something that's starting to come through. They've obviously been around like the rest of the Caribbean for ages, not only as a country, but as is tobacco smokers and Amorant. But like all the rest, they're well aware of what other countries are doing.
Yes.
And they're adjusting their game to do it. So this is one I picked up from Tobacco Summer, which is on the inner part of the outskirts of München. It's not an expensive cigar, so it'll probably, I don't think it's going to shine in variance, but it is different in that sense because of the country, Costa Rican.
Interestingly, I'm not sure I like that. It's rare that I get an instant sort of feeling on a cigar, but I don't know, it might change actually with the whiskey, which is a new whiskey that I've not even heard of, although I have looked it up briefly. How do you pronounce that?
Good question.
Right.
Answers on a postcard.
Answers on a
my
postcard.
Scottish Sharon will know how to pronounce that. Probably Glen Wymus or something like that.
But
anyway, the Scots will.
The Scots will tell us. That's a new distillery that's been reopened. It was reopened in 2016. Originally, it closed in 1926. So it had a 90-year hiatus. They've come back. I think a lot of people basically have brought it back as a group sort of idea.
That's what I understood. I missed the rep coming in. Sharon, my associate, handled that one.
It does have an interesting aroma.
When I was picking off, because I had taken the top off, wine cask.
Yeah, it's got a sweet note there, but there's also...
There is the whiskey.
Yeah, there's
coming
definitely
up through the nose, as mine's now sat there for a minute. But my initial thing from the lid was a bit of wine cask coming through. There's almost a touch of wine about it.
Yeah,
that was my initial.
It is. It sits,
but the alcohol of the whiskey and the barley's coming through.
I mean, it is a 46.5%
standard.
So it's I mean, actually, that's the low end of what I normally end up with. So for me, that's not very strong. It's got a definite zest to it, bite right on the back of your palate. So it's back here. It's not sure, but this is just an example of what they're actually starting to produce. I mean, that we reckon what is probably about a 9-year-old.
Yeah, if they're starting producing, that means the mature batches are getting up to 9 years old, and that I'm not sure if that's in that category.
No, unfortunately, we haven't got a lot of information about it. It's always nice to try something that's off the wall.
Yep,
and that's off the wall.
That's
so
off the wall.
I'm not saying I dislike it. I'm not sure I like it or dislike it yet.
Anybody who goes up to Scotland, it's somewhere north of Inverness or around there somewhere. It's not a big distillery.
No, it's a very small batch distillery by the looks of it, which is nice to see that people are that passionate about it and are trying to bring something back, which is always nice.
Back to the cigar. Yes, I totally understand why you don't like it. It's far too light for you.
Yeah, it's that's exactly what it is.
There's a little bit of sweetness in it. At least that's what I'm picking up at the moment. But then again, if you're on a hot day and you're not sure what to smoking, this is not going to knock you out.
No, it's actually, for a good summer's day like this, actually, that's not a bad idea. But you're right, that does not sit my palate. But then it's nice to do something that doesn't. If you know what I mean, I find I learn as much from not liking something as liking it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons we do the programme, is you found out, talking to me over the years, that what my personal opinion is on some of the cigars is my personal opinion, and that's based on where I come from, which is the catering trade for 30 years before I got the shop. And what I learnt in that trade, particularly back in the 70s and the early 80s, whether it was because I actually lived in France for a year in 1982-83, or then was helping a hotel with their wine list, particularly on half bottles in the mid-80s, through to the changes in the 90s, where the wine list we had in London, in the small hotel I was working in, had very few French wines and a majority of non-European and a rye range, and that reflects what the wine market's been doing ever since. In the mass market, totally.
Yes. Actually, you talking about wines is a great little link into the next bit. One of the interviews I did earlier in the year, and I really enjoyed, and I learnt an awful lot, was with Guy Smith from Smith & Evans. He basically is a Langport-based distillery in the UK and is an award-winning British wine distiller. I mean, they've done amazing a lot. You can find them in Waitrose, so they are quite well known, and they're quite an exclusive. You'll find them at little resorts and all that sort of stuff, as I've seen on my travels. We're not going to show a bit of his interview. What we're going to do instead is show you the 101 that he did for us, because he actually tells us how to taste wine properly.
Normally when I open a bottle of wine, I just pour it into a glass and drink it. But at various points in my career, I've been employed just to taste wine, to evaluate it. And sometimes it's huge quantity. So you'll have a tank of 100,000 litres and you'd have to evaluate it to decide if it's good enough to be shipped or what prices to charge. And so the way we used to do it is the first thing, if you put this bit into the glass, is to look at it. And generally, white wines get darker as they get older. Red wines get lighter. This one, confusingly, is a rosé. So the first thing you notice about it is it's completely clear, it's clean. This one does actually have a natural sediment because it's a natural wine, so it's not been pasteurized, so to speak. If you look at it, it's completely clear. And young wines, this is very hard to see. On the rims of young wines, they're sort of water white. And older wines, the colour tends to go out further. So you can see with this is a pretty young wine. It's a 2023. So you can tell something about the wine or in fact, before you drink it. And if you swirl it around, they call it the tears or the legs. You can't see this on this glass because it hasn't got any, which means it's got no sugar. So wines with a lot of sugar or very extracted wines have these sort of tears that come down. If the tears fall down quickly, this is a tip, it means it's had added sugar generally. So quite often you could say this when I was tasting wine for work. I say, oh, you've added some sugar to this. And they'd be amazed. It's because these tears come down quickly. So this is a dry wine. It's a young wine. And then you swirl it around a bit and give it one good sniff. And that's lovely. It smells of cherries to me. So I think the best thing is also quite often is to say the first thing comes into your mind. In fact, it's a very specific thing that came into my mind with this, which was cherry tunes. So you have to be an English person of a certain age to remember that tunes were like cough sweets in the 1970s. That smells like cherry tunes to me. And then when you taste it, you have to slurp it. Well, you don't have to, but this is what we did at work. So I don't know if you've ever seen film of tea tasters. And tea tasters have these little cups and spoons, they slurp it. And the reason for that is because in your mouth, all you taste is salt, sweet, bitter, and umami, and acid and sour. And so they're basic things, but where you have all the interesting flavors is in something called the olfactory nerve, which is in between your mouth and your nose. So if you slurp it, it becomes a vapor. I wouldn't recommend doing it with whiskey necessarily. It could be quite painful. And sparkling wine is quite funny because it goes up your nose. But if you just slurp it, you just get more flavors. And so if I swirl this around, and then of course when I was working, I wouldn't swallow it. I'd spit it out. If you're tasting 50, after the 50th wine, you'd just be so drunk you'd love it. But and then just describing the flavour. So this is a completely dry wine. It's fermented completely dry. It's really quite long. It's got a lot of depth to it. Oh God, I love it. Well, I made it, so this is completely biased, so don't listen to what I'm saying. But yeah, it's a very natural wine. It's a sort of wine that actually would be quite good with food as well. It's got quite a lot of body to it, which I think is something you get from these wild ferments rather than using commercial yeasts. And so that's how we tasted wine for work. And you do get more if you go through that whole process, but normally we just open it and drink it. Cheers.
Anyway, welcome back from the little wine tasting. So you know how to gurgle and whatever.
Yeah.
What was interesting about the interview, and do go and actually look at the wine one, it's because it's something we touch about is, I think wine takes about 6 years of growth and getting grapes, which are then actually usable.
Yeah,
if
that's
not a
it.
bit
The
more.
first few harvests are just totally.
And most fruit is like that. And probably that's agricultural for you. And one of the finesse from dealing with how he's had to approach things, we've seen it a lot when we're talking about the various cigar people we talk
Yeah.
about. Scott certainly talked about it, how them working with the land, wine is all about what you're going to get from that bit because it's getting this sun and the other bit's not getting got through.
Yeah.
It's the same the world over with agriculture, whether it's a grape, tobacco,
It doesn't
barley,
matter, yeah.
whatever.
It's all, in that regard, that's the one thing that sort of links all of these lovely hobbies of ours together. It is the agriculture and how stuff is prepared and looked after beforehand, essentially.
Right, you're ready
Yes.
to take the...
Let me...
the second one is Tamdu, 12-year-old, classic Speyside malt.
Always a good sound, that.
Private
Thank you.
hands. They will be at the Summerfest, I see, which is quite
Yes.
extraordinary because you don't get that. I wouldn't have thought you get that many small companies coming down. But I do remember them being on a whiskey counter 30 years ago at a hotel. So they obviously have had a long history of making good stuff.
Now that's got a real depth. Yeah.
It's
That's a whiskey. That's a whiskey.
oh, and on the side of the glass.
Yeah, the legs are definitely there. There's a lot of oil in that. I actually do find I quite like the little Diamonds glass that I've got. For tasting, I find it actually helps opening up a lot of the aromas and gets rid of the ethanol quite a bit more. So you get more of the actual flavour.
As you all know, I don't drink, but that is sublime.
I'm happy. That I'm very happy with.
I just wish more suppliers actually would do miniatures because...
they're missing a trick. I do understand why they're not doing it because they get charged the VAT and the duty on the small bottles as well. So they're paying a bit more basically in terms of volume and size. So they're getting charged a bit more.
Yeah, but
now having tried that, I would go and pay for a full bottle of it.
And that's my point.
That's the thing.
That's a good taster. It's not that expensive. Yes, it is for a shot. But actually in your bar, you've got to pay for the barkeeper, the license and the heating and all the rest.
Well, that's just
what
it.
you're doing is, and that's a double shot.
Yeah. But you
and
think
you
about
get
it,
a chance to actually really find out.
whether
And
you're actually
one
going
of the
to like it or
reasons I
not.
have such a large range of miniatures that I can get hold of is that allows people to find out what a good Speyside should be.
Yeah.
Rather
That's a
than
good one.
something that's in the supermarket, which not necessarily bad, but is of a type.
You look at it, I mean, my Brook Laddie, for example, the classic Laddie, that's always in supermarkets. I like it a lot. And I do recommend that one a lot. But that, I would have looked at a 12-year-old and gone, oh, another 12-year-old. Maybe do I not? Having tried the miniature, I would definitely go and buy that. You probably will see me with a full bottle of that before long. It is only 43% though. It's not. It's a lighter side of it, if I'm honest. But
that has a lovely aroma.
Yeah, that's just
that is something to one bottle wouldn't last long.
no. The bottle won't last
I
long.
get that idea.
Yeah, that especially with a cigar, that would pair beautifully. Yeah, I'm very pleased you brought that one over, Gary. Thank you very much for that.
Well, I thought, knowing that they're up at Smokefest, I thought we'll give you a little head start before we walk away with a case of the stuff. You need to do your filming first.
Yeah. Smokefest this year, we might as well jump down to that, actually, while we're talking about. We're going up on the 1st of August, obviously, because that's when it is. We're leaving nice and early. Hoping to get there, we're thinking around 11 o'clock.
Well, we're taking all of this that you see around you, if you look at the wide shot, and if necessary, if it's, hopefully it's weather like we've got today, to actually hopefully do some interviews.
Yes.
More than how we did it last year, which means there's a certain shady spot that we need to
acquire before anybody else does.
So it's the intention that we might get up there, hopefully, traffic permitting, that we get up there for about 11 o'clock. That's our target time.
Yeah. But it should be a really good day. So, do come over and join us at tables and say hello, and we'll have a good old chat and put the world to rights over a nice cigar or two.
Yeah. And if you happen to know anybody else there, we'll make a good table out of it.
Well, this is the second time for this event, but this event was the first style of event in the UK like this.
And I think it certainly worked. We were talking to Scott at ATS about that, and he was thinking we were probably thinking about his kind of thing, and he was quite candidly talking about trying to get hold of
Meet
people.
the Makers. That is how can I say this? That is a very difficult thing to pull off. And he did it well.
He did it very well. I prefer what we did at the Smoke Fest because we were in and talking to the people. You really can get up and close. And if we get a hand in, I think this year, some of the suppliers might find ourselves at our table if we can.
Yeah, that would be the nice thing to do.
Because they do get breaks, and I can't think of anything better. You get a chance to talk to somebody who's actually doing it. It's better than go through. If you have to go and get him a little glass of whiskey or something,
I'm sure he won't mind. Yeah, it's great.
Rocky certainly wouldn't.
No, I think that's the thing about these events, and I'd like to see more of these events in the UK. It gives us, as the punters, because I'm very much a punter in this, the chance to meet the people who are actually making the product that I love so much.
Yeah, and I think even allowing for the changes in the laws which are coming through, and just to remind everyone, once we know when the consultation's going up, I think that's going to be very important. Everybody who, whether you're on a cigar group watching this podcast or on a cigar, you need to find out. All the specialist tobacconists will get information, and it won't be down to what the view is of the specialist tobacconist. It will be all the general public.
Yes.
The health people don't have data on how people approach cigars.
No, they don't.
And that needs to be put in there. Where it makes any difference, it's not that.
I think
bureaucrats tend to
have made their decision already. I think this is the issue which I've had with this whole law coming in. People are being too quiet about it. They've been like, oh, no, we don't want to rock the boat. We want to see the process through. We'll have our discussions. They'll be sensible about it, and they'll listen to us. No, they won't. Unless the public say they're not happy and really kick up a stink about it, it will not change. The government will do what they want to do.
Because they don't care about us.
No, they really don't.
I mean, the thing about taking things back from the prostate cancer is a classic.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure everybody's got a whole host of ideas you can go through, never mind certain political events that took place this week.
Well, it's also like the whole digital ID. We all turned around and went, no, we don't want it. So they just changed what they worded it and went, oh, it's to protect the kids. And everyone went, okay then. And now they're realizing actually it's the digital ID by the back door. Because you now have to prove you're over 16 to use it, which means you have to have a digital ID to do that.
And that means all the phones are going to be there. And once it's in, it's there. So if they want to tack in the law change for tobacco thing, that can be tacked in.
Yeah.
And it will just happen and you won't see it.
No, until you try to do something, it will not affect you until you try to do it, by which point it's too late.
And they won't talk about it. And I know that means, whereas I have to look for somebody who's 18 who walks into my shop, they can still walk in, as far as I understand, at 18, but they won't be allowed to purchase. And that idea that it moves to 19 next year then moves on. So in 10 years' time, I'm looking at young people who are 28, 29, and if they want to purchase tobacco, I have to ID them.
Yeah. So if they're 29, they could have it. If they're 28 and they miss out by a day, they're only just in that 28 margin, they can't.
Yeah, and the rules of purchase will be exactly the same as they are elsewhere in tobacco. It's just working on, and it's tight.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a depressive thing. Moving on.
That's a good reason for going to next year's show. Well, any other festival show that's for cigars, because as long as you're legal, you're in.
Yeah, exactly it. So let's change the subject slightly, because that gets a bit of a rant. Do drop your comments, though, below if you agree with us or disagree with us on that rant. We're going to go into yet another 101. This one is one that we've been meaning to do for ages. Pipes. How do you pack your pipe if you want to smoke it? If you've never done it before, you don't know. So here's a 101 with Gary explaining just how to.
Welcome to a little 101 on how to fill up your pipe. First of all, you need it nice and clean and ready to go. The most important thing, particularly if you're a beginner, is that you don't overstuff the pipe. So you gently drizzle some of the tobacco into the pipe, press it gently, don't press it hard, otherwise you'll block the air passage through, and you continue to fill up your pipe as you go. And when you get near the top, you can put a little bit more pressure on the top of the tobacco, and I'll put a little bit more in because I know what this pipe's going to do. And then we're ready to literally grab the lighter with a little bit more check and light. There we go. Quite simple, don't overpack it.
Yeah.
At the beginning, you then press down, because later on, when, as I've done already, because this is now halfway down, you're quietly tapping it down anyway. And if you are a pipe smoker, you should start with a largest bowl possible. You've got to learn this technique.
You have to,
People think they want to go with a small bowl.
Yeah.
You're likely to stuff it.
Yeah. And you'll end up with pipe bite and it'll be uncomfortable and you won't enjoy it.
We're almost done, I think.
I think we are, yeah. I don't think I can put this off, can I? Okay. So on that note, let's actually move into the pipes.
So, I need to...
Yeah. This is very unusual for me. I'm actually having to let someone else do this because I'm so used to doing
Get
stuff
my
on my
other
own.
pipe out, which is my special Camotti, which you have seen him before in one of the other programs. I think it was about program 6 as well.
Yeah, I think it
5.
was around then.
It's handmade. The line, I'm going to bring it closer to my camera. That's a custom stem. Beautiful graining from a nice piece of wood where the craftsmen, and they are craftsmen at Camotti, have made a really nice pipe. I don't smoke it very often. A lot depends on what tobacco I've got around me. But from my point of view, when you are coming to smoke a pipe, you should always clean through it. This one in particular hasn't been smoked for a long time. It is, I can tell you, Jason, 40 years old.
Oh, wow.
Actually, it's 41 years old. And is actually my first pipe.
Oh, okay. So this is what you actually started with?
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't matter what kind of pipe you start with. You then work out whether you want to be a straight pipe smoker or a bent smoker, which is what that one is. A lot depends on the saliva in your mouth. If a wet smoker means you do pass a lot of phlegm down it, and the way that's held, it doesn't then drown the tobacco in, which can happen with some cigars. So, a few things out of the way.
Oh, I don't know about this. This will be interesting. I have tried a pipe many, many years ago, which actually, if memory serves, I did buy the pipe off you. And my stepson, Harry, he nicked the pipe and has not returned it since. So, yeah, that's why I don't actually have my pipe. This is so weird.
Just a little bit. Just make sure it's dropped down in. Yep.
Yep, okay.
Now a little bit more, and you build it up in sort of layers, but you let it find its own thing before you start to...
let it settle down.
Settle down. I'm obviously going to be a little bit quicker because I've obviously done it for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
Actually, for now, 41 years.
So, would you say that's about the right sort of... Or do I need to put a bit more? I haven't tempered that down yet.
I've just tapped it a little bit, so now you can go for making the crown. It doesn't matter if you only end up with half a bowl.
Okay.
From your point of view.
Right, so that's what mine actually looks like at the moment.
And at the top, when you get to it, you can be a little bit firmer, but not too firm. You're just trying to just tap down on that top layer. And I'll let you fire up with that one. I don't normally use my zipper when I'm lighting the pipe, starting off.
Okay, let's try this.
And then rather like a cigar, well, that's a flamethrower.
Okay, I think I might have got that going.
And he's away. And on that note, we'll see you next time in a couple of months. Bye now.
Cigar.